Well, good morning. Today's episode is about repurposing materials for this home. And today we're talking about the columns that were a great find. You can see I'm surrounded by them, two to the one to the right and left of me, and then there's two ahead of me. And it just so happens that this room has the capitals also that came with these columns. These came from a house that was being donated to the fire department to be burned down. I had driven by this house numerous times and saw the abandoned house and, my abandoned house. I got a doorknob or two. But anyway, these were wrapping the whole house, the porch, the front porch. And one day I went in the house to see if there's any more doorknobs, and it was filled with Christmas trees. And I scratched my head and thought, oh my God, they're going to burn this place down. It was like in January after Christmas. I went home, researched, found the owner, called and said, da-da-da-da-da. I would like these columns. I can put them to good use. In the end, and I could go into more detail on the story, but in the end, I ended up with 17 columns, 17 capitals, and some great railings and everything else that we'll do in another episode. So as you zoom in and look at this, these were covered with lead-based paint, all crinkly and crackly, and sometimes that could be very attractive. But if you put them in a house, lead-based paint's not good, and it was flaky. So I stored them for a while, and all of a sudden it came to me. And I rented a commercial sandblaster, big sucker, put these on some sawhorses, and spent a day sandblasting these columns. Now look at this texture. This is what I ended up with. And it was bare wood. And so here's a good example of what it looked like right after I sandblasted. Looks like almost like bear skin, textured. But you can see the 200-year-old joinery of how these columns were staved together. And remember, these columns are tapered. So think of that incredible joinery and craftsmanship to make these. Full-length pieces of tulip poplar, that's what this wood is. And all put together in a very strong, these are structural columns. Today's columns, of course, are all finger-jointed lumber to make use of the lumber. But this is old-growth tulip poplar. That is just gorgeous. Well, and then, so now as you look at it, you're wondering, okay, so how did you come up with the color? Well, I'm very enamored by copper and how copper ages naturally. And so there's some techniques to patinate or patina the copper. Now, those capitals were painted and chunky, flaky paint as well, so I actually painted them with copper paint. And then I sprayed some acidic patinating compound on them to turn them the verdigris. This was done with multiple colors of stain, I believe. Or no, it could have been no, this was oil-based paint, thinned and brushed on to streak it. And that's how I came up with how it looks like these copper pipe. These copper pipe are naturally aged. These are copper pipe from an old basement that I saved and decided to use as railing pickets. So you can see copper pipe and copper is all part of the program. Oh, yes, and so, you got to mount these on something. And again, these are structural columns, so this whole pedestal is over a beam down below. And it's supporting a beam up above to support the gables. This is a composite marble that I came upon. I came upon 4 pieces of this 3/4-inch composite marble that has the green and the purples and the grays. It matches really nicely with this. Now, this edge here, since we're talking about this, I had, at the time, I was not familiar with fabricating marble, so I took it to my granite marble guy, and he put my nice bevel edge on there. So that is one pretty picture. right there. A nice ensemble.